Hey guys, here we are. You've been waiting for this, I'm sure. You just didn't know it yet, but we've got an incredible interview coming up with Zarnaz, who is going to maybe potentially unlock some secrets that could move you forward in. Not sure what to do. This might be the interview to hear today that really could move you forward. Who knows? Zarnaz,
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little bit staticky though.
I can't see you, so let me, why don't I get off and come back on? Okay, I'm gonna exit and come right back.
Okay, exit and come right back, and then we'll get started. All right, so just a little technical difficulties. We're going to have an incredible interview anytime now, so please hang tight. We're going to talk with Zarnaz about the mysteries of metaphysical healing. This is going to be a good one. Just wait. We're bringing her on live. Okay.
All right.
Hey.
That was so weird. I came off and then I was back in watching the live and I could see me like a minute ago on the live.
Interesting.
So there's like a delay.
There's no
Can
static.
you?
Yeah, there's no static now, so you sound great.
Okay, good. You're kind of blurry, but I've seen you on so many interviews now. Like, I know your background.
Okay, you know where I've been and what I've been doing, what like all my healing
Yeah, well,
stuff.
you're on here like every day.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of
Yeah,
interviews.
yeah, no, that's cool. You're like mastering how to interview people, right? And learning about all these nuances of healing that people are offering up and sharing.
It's really exciting. Yeah, I'm having a blast, honestly. Like learning a
Yeah,
lot and just getting, yeah, hopefully refining my skills here. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, Zarnaz, tell us a little bit about yourself. Just give us a little general background if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I've been on my medical medium healing journey for 7 years and 1 month. I got sick, like it was overnight for me. It was like the truck hit me. Anthony writes in that chapter in the first book, like a truck ran me over, and my life just stopped overnight. And I'd actually had my spiritual awakening about 6 months before. So 6 months before the whole trajectory of my life had changed, I had just really given my life up in service to God. And when I had done that, it was like, oh yeah, I was supposed to do this all along. Like, but I forgot. And once I did that, I could remember that that was what I was here for. And so everything in my life started changing. And I got into my spiritual practices. I thought, oh, I found like the holy grail of healing. Like I'm going to ascend out of all my problems, all of my symptoms. And I'd had symptoms all my life, but I'd really muscled through so much, like I was functional until the day I wasn't functional. And I had the medical medium book actually. It was sitting on the shelf above my bed. And all summer, so I got sick in September, all that summer before, the book had been like talking to me and saying, open me, do my cleanses. And I was really caught up in the new age spiritual community. And I was like, well, I'm doing like 2 hours of yoga a day. I don't really need to worry about heavy metals and that kind of stuff. So I just didn't get it. And when I got sick, I mean, the spiritual community had no answers. And the medical community had no answers. And I was already distrustful because I'd worked in public health for so long and I knew how the medical system worked. And then 6 weeks into my illness, I opened that book up, the first book. And, like so many people, that was it. Like that, I just knew that this was the truth. It connected with my story. And I just dove in. And yeah, my life changed for the better. And I knew like intuitively that that's where my real spiritual awakening was starting, like that from that moment on. Because, you know, Anthony is a warrior of truth. He's bringing truth to darkness. And so everything started unraveling about my reality. And I started healing. And I didn't realize at the time how sick I was because it had happened so quickly. I didn't really have like a comparison. The medical medium community was just growing on Instagram. I remember I shared my first post like a month into my journey, and Anthony shared it. So I was all of a sudden in the community. Like I'd never really used Instagram before. So I started healing with his information. And I was already a health coach. Like I had my certificate. I'd worked in public health for years. And so I was like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to be doing, teaching medical medium information. And so I ended up training with the practitioner I had at the time. I learned to do like intuitive readings on people. I started working with clients. But as I was like healing, some of my stuff wasn't lining up with what my intuitive readings, where I was looking at the physical body, where I should have been. And then I would see a lot of my clients would line up exactly with my readings. And then every once in a while I'd have somebody like just didn't fit in. So I was like, oh, something is going on. And while I was going through that, like a year and a half into my journey, I was in the bathtub one day and there was an earthquake. It was really hot. I live in California. It was really hot. And something, that earthquake like changed me, like changed my energy field. I started feeling this energy like pulsating through me. And I thought, oh my God, I have vertigo, like the earthquake made EVV activate. And I didn't know I was being pushed into like a whole new level of spiritual work I didn't really understand. And I prayed like every day for so long for God to help and the angels to help me heal that symptom. And so anyway, so that happened, and then weird stuff started happening to me. Like I would do these intuitive readings and things would attack me from like inside my body. Like it would look like pathogens flaring, people it's like getting crazy and attacking me on the outside. And I was like, something's going on. Like this isn't normal. Like something's trying to stop me. And I think a lot of people in this community can feel that. I mean, there's a real spiritual war out there. We are like this huge community of light warriors. And there's a lot of darkness that doesn't want us to heal. And nobody in the medical medium community had answers for me. I had these like weird stomach issues that didn't make sense. I was like fat free for a year and a half. And practitioners were telling me it was your gallbladder, it's this or that. And it wasn't resolving. And then I saw this psychic on this like YouTube channel. He was getting interviewed. And for some reason I was like, I need to talk to him. Like for some reason he's got some answer I need. And so he had this radio show, and I called into the radio show. It was on YouTube. And I was like, I know they're going to call me. I'm going to raise my hand. I know they're going to call me, because he would do short readings on people. And I got on there and I was like, there's something weird going on, and I don't know what it is. And none of the healers or psychics that I know understand what's going on. And that's what he was the first person to tell me. You have a negative entity issue. It's a big one. It's coming through your ancestral lineage. And he told me it's your destiny to heal it. And you're going to do big things. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. And I felt like I had another piece to my puzzle. And at that time in the medical medium community, like the practitioner I worked with, I was studying under, told me like negative entities aren't real. It's your thoughts. And I was like, okay, like I actually believe this guy. You know, when you connect with truth, you just know. And so that's a whole new side of my journey opened up from that moment forward. I got like overnight, my team just said it's time to start doing energy healing. So I just learned overnight. I just started doing emotion code. And like with within a month or two, I'd like exhausted that tool. And then I went to Body Code, and then I received like a third eye activation by this one psychic healer. And that night that I received the activation, and at that point I'd never really seen entities. Or so I thought, because I actually had. I sat in meditation and I started looking clairvoyantly, and there was like an army of angels on one side and an army of darkness on the other, and it freaked me out. I was like, what is this? And I felt like the darkness was after me, and so I went back and I asked, and that psychic healer actually really helped me. She said, "You're here for a big mission. You're like a warrior. You've agreed to do this work, and it's very few souls that do this." So I was like, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to clear. I didn't know how. Like nobody told me how to do this, so I just started clearing negative entities, and then the issue just kept escalating. Like it kept getting bigger and bigger, and I had to find healers that could heal. Most healers don't know anything about negative entities. They might know a little bit. My stuff was on the level of complexity that most healers absolutely have no clue. And so that's where my journey with negative entities started. And every time I would get a clearing, there'd be like a whole new layer. Things would attack me, like trying to rip up my insides, blistering my skin, attacking me in the middle of the night. And then I was told, you need to do shadow work because you've got all these traumas. They attach to your traumas. And after like the 10th like attack where they were trying to kill me, I was like, okay, I need to start doing shadow work. So that's like a whole new journey opened up for me at that point, where I started working with my subconscious, the shadow realms. And that was so that negative entity journey started about 4 years ago. I really got into my shadow work about 9 months after I was told I have a negative entity issue, and it's just progressed ever since. Like I've been on this huge journey trying to unravel like why some people have just a harder time healing, what's going on, why some people can't heal with medical medium protocols, why some people's symptoms get worse and nothing will heal it that comes from medical medium tools. And that's where I've been able to step in and really assist with people. So what I do now is I call myself an intuitive wellness coach and quantum healer. And I work through 3 main modalities. So medical medium protocols, where I do intuitive readings on people to teach them how to accelerate their healing. I do energy work, and this is where we're going to talk about the angelic soul alignment healing sessions I've done, which are huge. Multidimensional healings that address negative entities and soul level blockages. And I also teach people how to do shadow work. So go into their shadow consciousness, into their body, work with their symptoms that aren't healing, and release the blockages, including negative entities, because everybody has negative entities. And especially in this community, as people start healing, these energies can really start acting up, because they don't want you to heal. And they're coming down your ancestral lineage. They're coming down your past lives. They can break in from other dimensions. They can come through this life. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person or did bad things. Like everybody has them. It's kind of like everybody has strep. Like you can't avoid having strep. So this is just part of our universal construct, that there's light and darkness. And so I've really had to learn to work within what Anthony calls the sea of confusion, these realms, learning to discern energies and work in different dimensions. And I love it. It's a really cool job. Like I get to travel kind of the universe in these sessions with my clients, and people heal. People's symptoms heal and release, and it blows my mind. I just go in to do the work, and then the results just speak for themselves. So that was like my introduction. I kind of talked at you for a while, and we can get into, yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot. You just unraveled a whole can of worms
Hmm.
for us, Sarnaz.
Hmm.
But I do
Yeah.
what I love, and I want to highlight the fact that Anthony himself said that he likes the work that you're doing, right?
Yeah. So I went to the Cafe Gratitude event, and one of the nights, and like I've been this whole year, I've been talking about negative entities on my Instagram. It took me a while to even decide to talk about it more publicly because a lot of people didn't like it that I was talking about these things in parts of the medical medium community. But then Anthony at the event, he knew my name, which was cool. Like he knew a lot of people's names. He knew my name. He knew I was the one that talks about negative energies. And he said that he's written like a whole, I assume it's the spiritual book that him and SOC have written a lot about this topic. And he said it's really important work. And so I just felt so like I felt heard, and I know this is important work, but and Anthony acknowledged it very publicly, and I was just so happy that that had happened because so many people are still sick because they have these kinds of issues in their energetic field, and there's soul level issues intertwined with that. So some people will just have to go deeper, and Anthony is, I don't know what he's going to say, but I'm really excited reading and seeing what he shares with the community to help people take their healing to the next level.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is to me. I was trying to understand when I was listening because I've been listening to your content lately
Mm-hmm.
and trying to investigate this. And there's I think we all know somebody in the community that's kind of like maybe feeling like they could be moving along a little bit faster or stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just asking, like, okay, this stuff seems really important, at least to some subset of
Yeah.
us. And why is it that AW hasn't talked about it so much? And I think I can kind of figure it out myself. But what do you think?
I wondered that a lot. I mean, on his old website, he talks about it for sure. And he says that clearing negative entities can change your healing trajectory. He he does talk about negative entities, but he kind of drops them here and there. He'll talk about demons and this and that, but he hasn't unraveled really the nuances because I think the community has to be ready for it. It gets a little bit more like woo woo weird out there. It's a little darker.
Yeah,
I mean, he's already bringing so much truth to darkness. It's just like another whole level of work, and it's kind of like the Alien podcast. Like he dropped that, and there's supposed to be more, but it's been like 2 years. I know he's like been distracted with other things, but I think he's listening to the community. Like, where's the community at? What's the pulse at? What are people asking? And I personally feel like me sharing all those posts this year has pushed that discussion because there's so many people coming to me for assistance that are like, oh my gosh, like I've been getting attacked my whole life. Like I didn't I didn't know what to do about it. Like, what do I do about it? I'm healing. It's getting worse. So, so yeah, that's why I think. But we'll see. I mean, and the thing is, like, not everybody goes on a journey like I do. Like, I've been on a massive journey with him because I'm supposed to teach people and help people heal. But not all people. Like, a lot of people can live with their negative entities and heal, live out their soul purpose, their soul mission, and they've got all these attachments and they're not, I mean, they might be like blocking them in some places, but they can still live out and do what they need to do. I just think I've had this like crazy experience. And I don't know what Anthony's experience is, but mine's extreme. I know that. Like, but I'm not the only one because I have clients with on extreme journeys too.
yeah. I know a
Yeah.
couple people. I know a couple people that are not even on. They're not really involved in the community, but they've acknowledged that they feel like this is happening to them,
Yeah.
and it's kind of hard for them to deny. One of them actually sees a demon in his room, a friend of mine. He said he's
Okay.
been seeing it like, and he gets this paralysis at night. Like I'm sure we've all heard about sleep paralysis, demons.
Yeah.
Um, it's a very common phenomenon, but yeah, what do you think about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So a lot of the symptoms that Anthony writes about in the books, they can also all be caused by negative entities. That's where it gets kind of like confusing. So, I would say like do the medical mean protocols are going to be the foundation for your healing. And as you're healing, if things aren't healing, because any of your symptoms can be rooted in physical or energetic factors. Some of them will be 100% physical and they'll heal with medical meaning protocols. Some of them will be a combination of physical and energetic. And by energetic, I mean mental, emotional, spiritual. Okay. It's more subtle energy, more subtle than the physical. And then some symptoms are going to be fully energetic. Now, to your question, is negative entities can be attached to you, they can be in your space, they can be living in your house. So, like, yeah, get a house clearing. That person probably needs a house clearing and a clearing for himself, because there's no reason you need to live with demons. Okay, they also need healing because they've been caught in these lower dimensions, a lot of them for a long time, because society has been kept in the darkness for so many generations. Like everybody's third eye has been blocked for so long. All the witches, all the healers were killed. Okay, they were all called witches, and like a lot of us have been killed because of these abilities that a lot of people in the medical medium community have. So there's no reason anybody has to live with it. You can heal it. And there's all kinds of negative entities. And then to the point of, because we're talking to the chronic illness community, basically the negative beings, this is what I intuitively get, the negative beings that created all the pathogens and toxins that AW talks about are the same ones that are attacking people. Like they work in those like dimensions, they work with demons and all kinds of negative entities, and like, and it gets even darker. It can get really dark. I don't know how dark you want to go, but there's also a whole artificial universe out there, and there's negative entities within the artificial universe that are attached to people. So it gets weird. Yeah, it gets really weird. But this stuff just really needs to be cleaned up. And for a lot of people to be able to heal fully, to step into their power, to step into their higher mission, this stuff needs to be addressed, because they can either keep you sick or they can kill you. And I'm not saying that like to scare people, but it can happen. Like I see people in this community that are so sick after 7, 8, 9 years of doing medical medium protocols, and I'm like, well, you got to dig deeper. Like
Yeah.
you have to dig deeper. Medical medium protocols, this is the thing, it's going to give you the most incredible foundation for the spiritual work. But the other thing is you're pushing stuff to the surface, you're changing your energy field, and that means everything that was hidden, like when you were in your 3D life, before you got sick, like all these negative entities were attached to you, but they were kind of hidden under the surface. As you start pushing stuff out of your body, you're pushing it all to the surface. Your energy field is changing, and you need to cleanse your energetic body at the same time as you're cleansing physically. And medical medium meditations for some people will do that. The foods will do that for them. But for others, no, they need to go further. They need to go conscious with their work. And by conscious, coming into the healings that I'm doing, the angelic soul alignment healings, and then some negative entities no healer can remove for you. Some of them you have to deal with yourself. Okay, because there's usually a soul lesson or soul blockage that they're attached to. Like I recently had somebody come and do a shadow work session with me, and she had a negative entity attached that wouldn't go. And so we were trying to figure out why it wouldn't go, because there's always a story when entities won't just go. And it kept saying it was her buddy. And so she realized that it had attached to her at a time in her life where she was feeling really lonely, and she felt like she needed a friend. So negative entities can attach, like kids can have negative entities attached like that. This happened in her adult life. And so this person's very psychic, and we weren't able to release it in the session that we did. We went overtime because I was trying to bring it to completion. And I said, you know what? You can do this on your own. You need to be able to heal the parts of you that are attached to the entity. And within a week, she'd resolved it. You know, and the negative entity left. I've had clients, a client come to me for an angelic soul alignment healing session. It was her second angelic soul alignment healing session. She had also done shadow work with me, and she had this one symptom. I think 6 years on medical medium, it wouldn't heal. It's like that one symptom that would make her emotional always. It was a really hard symptom for her. Has done such a good job with medical medium protocols. And I told her, I was like, this is deeper soul level work. There's more nuances to this symptom. And so we'd been working on it. And then in our second angelic soul alignment healing session, it was a really powerful session. Nostradamus came in at the beginning of the session, like before it even started, and like was talking to me about the session. And then the session started, and these sessions are really multidimensional. Okay, I can release soul injuries from this lifetime, clear traumas, clear attachments, activations come through, psychic abilities get stronger. And so I was in a session, and so the client's like laying down, receiving the session, and like I'm working, the angels are there with me, and all of a sudden it was like the ocean appeared in front of me, like I was in the ocean, but I was like in a bubble looking in the ocean. And there was this like negative being. I didn't know it was a negative being. It was a being just swimming around in the ocean, like a big being. And it kept coming up and looking at me. And I was like, what are you doing here? And it said, let me help you with your session. I want to help you with her healing. And I was like, I didn't invite you into the session. So this is really good to understand. This is how these energies work, because they always try to trick you. And I was like, I didn't invite you to the session. Go away. So the ocean dissolved. I keep working, clearing, and then boom, the ocean's there again. The being comes in again, swimming, like kind of sneaky, swimming around. And it's like saying the same thing. And I was like, okay, you're back a second time. And I just had this thought, show me why it's here. And it was like X-ray vision. It's like I zoomed right past it, and I went past it, and I saw that it was a past life that she had where she was like this mermaid being. Okay, so we don't always have like human incarnations in past lives. She was this like mermaid being, and she had been taken hostage by this being, and she was all chained up. Okay, something was very special about her in this life. I work with a lot of galactic souls, so this is kind of some of the stuff I might see. So anyways, I released her out of her chains, and I cleared that timeline, and immediately that negative being just disappeared. And what the being was trying to do was stop me from doing that healing on her. Like it was an inevitability that was going to heal for her in that session. So it was trying to stop me from doing it, but by trying to stop me from doing it, it accelerated her healing. This is how it works when you're working consciously. And session was over. I told her what I saw. She started crying when I told her that part. A lot happens in these sessions. And you know what? That symptom was gone after that session. That was connected to that trauma that she was caught in. Like that timeline needed to be healed because that reality was bleeding into her reality at the present. And that's what I mean. Like we're all multidimensional beings, and our symptoms can be rooted in other places. It can be rooted in your childhood. It could be rooted like in your mom's life, in your ancestor's life. It can be rooted in a past life. So all kinds of things can happen in these sessions.
So if you see like a pattern of illness from grandfather to father to children and siblings and stuff like that, is that kind of what you would interpret that to mean?
I mean, it can be physical and energetic, right? So if there's a pattern of illness, like I have a pattern in my dad's lineage of a lot of like insanity, like kind of evil. Like in like mental issues, like incredibly intelligent but mental issues. So there's a lot of heavy metals. And so with the heavy metals, okay, they've partly caused that because there's also a soul decision to become evil. But one day I was like working on myself and I felt the insanity energy from the heavy metals. And my team said to me, yes, it was like a physical issue that they were having, like with heavy metals, right? But the physical issue also creates an energetic imprint. So it had created a cycle of insanity, even though it was from heavy metals. So that energetic needed to be healed as well. So when I released it, it released down the lineage. Okay. So it gets nuanced. So yes, it could be to your question, but it could also just heal with physical cleansing. And the thing is, none of our ancestors have ever done this healing work. So the the blockages have built up over time. And like, it's hitting everybody at the same time. Everybody's getting sick, right? Especially if you're a light worker, these pathogens tend to activate in your body faster. So this is the time that humanity, the light, is supposed to rise up and reclaim like our divine sovereign right to our free will and to choose our destiny, because they've been tricking us for so long. And so like these energies are all kind of erupting in people's bodies because it's all coming to the surface. When you get a pathogen that goes in your body and goes after your weaknesses, it's not only going after physical weaknesses, it's going after energetic weaknesses. That's why if I release an energetic blockage for somebody, then there's more light coming into that part of the body, and pathogens can die off just from that because they can't survive in light. You know, you still need to do the protocols. You know, and on the other side of it, it's like the new age community that does the spiritual work that doesn't do the cleansing. They'll never be able to fully clear their negative entity attachments because some of them are trapped into these layers of your physical body so deep within that you need to cleanse. You need to purge all this stuff out if you really want to fully heal. And like the highest goal, like for me, is to ascend out of these lower reincarnation cycles. Like, does anybody in this community want to come back and deal with pathogens and toxins again? Right?
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like my goal as a soul is to ascend out of these reincarnation cycles. And the way you do it is by doing the physical cleansing work. It's necessary for that. And then doing the energetic cleansing and the expanding your consciousness.
Sarah's Guilt-Free Baking is asking a question. When we get light blasts, does that remove a lot of entities?
Depends on how much work you've done. So for me, not really, because the entities that I have remaining are really, really complex. Like I've done 4 years of work, like really, really intensive work. That light blast can remove like smaller entities. Some of those meditations that Anthony has can remove the smaller like entities. But if there's like a bigger issue, no. And know that like if there's a bigger issue, no, you need to get more specific, more conscious, more nuanced. Like you have to find the reason the entities are attached. Like I worked on somebody yesterday, I did an angelic soul alignment healing session on somebody who'd been at the light blast at Cafe Gratitude. He was there the same night I was. Man, I released thousands of entities from him. And that doesn't mean he doesn't have any other negative entities, because I did that healing. Entities release in layers, right? It's kind of like you open that Pandora's box of healing, like you're doing cleansing and you're like, oh, when I first started medical meeting protocols, I was like, oh, 28-day cleanse. Oh, I just need to do this once and I'm done. Like, but once you start, it's kind of like, oh, it just keeps going. It keeps going. And the deeper you go into it, the more like you realize how important this work is. And then more deeply I'm committed to like living this lifestyle. Like every year I'm committed more than I was the year before. Although I've always been committed, it just takes on a whole new level of understanding and commitment to the work. So yeah, the light blast can release some, but not all. Um, you really need to work at these issues to really clear them up.
So, XX Seb is asking a question. What happens to a demon when it heals?
So some negative entities, when I work, if they're organic, so if they're not artificial, they're always given the option to heal. And so I'll give you a great example. Like I once had this big negative entity attachment. I went to this famous healer for negative entities and he couldn't remove it. And I was like, why couldn't he remove it? And all it kept saying to me is like, I want to kill you. It was a big one. It was a big attachment. You can have little attachments, big attachments. And so I spent like all week talking to it. I was like, please go to the light. Please find a light within you. Please find a light within you. And I think after the fourth day, it agreed. And so what it did is it went, because negative entities aren't as multidimensional, right? They're more simple energies. So what it did was it went within itself because it still had light within, and it found its light and it just spread its light throughout its being. And it felt like a puff of light went through me when it did that. And then the angels took it. The angels always take them when I work. The angels take them and they can continue on their journey. And now they've had this journey of being in the dark for a while, and now they get to go be part of the light. So their lessons that they've had are incredibly valuable to like the expansion of this universe, and now they're going to be working for the light with an understanding of how the darkness works. Okay? If entities won't heal and I'm able to remove them, most of them I can remove. Sometimes, some of them you need to remove yourself, but if they don't want to heal, the angels take them, and I don't know what happens to them. They might, like yesterday, one refused to heal, and he was taken into like a middle space where he needed to like work on some things. He had been attached to the person because there was an alcoholism. The person had been used to drink. Okay, so this negative entity wanted to still be around that energy, so it went into like a middle realm. And I don't know what's going to happen to that being, but the way I experience is God loves all of its creation, and it'll never leave any part of its creation behind. But sometimes if it gets too dark, it can get zeroed out, like reabsorbed back to source. So it varies. And then there's some people that are really dark humans and some negative entities that are just so evil that there's no healing them.
Very fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's all kinds of negative entities, and they can cause all kinds of symptoms: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Okay? They can cause real physical symptoms, blisters, like shingle, like you could have weird outbreaks in your body from them. They can cause, emotionally, like depression, anxiety, like they can project all kinds of emotions at you. They can create negative thoughts. They can tell you to do bad things, intrusive thoughts, like all this stuff that Anthony talks about, that can all be negative entities. And spiritually, they can completely block your third eye, block your chakras, keep you locked into like a lower consciousness. So like the person I worked on yesterday, I mean, I'm talking about that because I remember that session so well. Like he got this massive upgrade. Like all this lower density just got removed from him. His crown chakra got opened up. Like thousands of entities got blasted out of him. And he felt like a new person. And I was like, you kind of are. You got this like massive upgrade. Like like a lot of his aspects of his consciousness that were caught in third dimension were healed. Okay. We're really going from third through fourth. So the negative entities live within a fourth dimensional band of energy. And we're trying to get to the fifth dimension, which negative entities really can't survive. They're not in that dimension. Okay. they're within a band of energy that we're like currently in, anybody in this community. So you want to heal yourself and make yourself strong enough so they can't attach to you and mess with you. But they'll still try to mess with you, you know, like
It's not from the inside, from the outside potentially, right?
yeah, they could use somebody else to mess with you,
Yeah.
right? All these people have got negative entities. Yeah, they could use people. They, you know, they can mess with your house. I mean, and like for me, it's been really hard because like I work so hard on my healing, and I'm like, oh my God, now they're trying this, now they're trying that. Now, like, so there's just been a lot of like soul lessons for me. Um, so yeah, it's been, you know, when I was going through this, I kept saying, why me? I don't want, if God had asked me if I wanted this mission, I would have said no way. Like, I don't want to do this. I'm not interested in the darkness, zero interest. But I was getting dragged into it. And 2 summers ago, I was told by a psychic, like, if you don't start doing these healing sessions, you'll never be on your soul mission. Like, you'll never do what you came to do. Like, because I was just dragging my feet. It's a lot of responsibility doing this kind of work. And so I just when that person said that to me, I said, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow. And I just started doing the sessions. For my first session, it was massive. Like, so I was like, oh, okay. I've been trained, they've been training me for this for lifetimes, you know?
That's incredible. Okay, I have
Yeah.
a question. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Um, I had an experience about 2008. I sort of came down with schizophrenia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so total loss of a sense of reality. And what happened to me at that point was like I thought that I was perceiving entities
Yeah, I'm
and I couldn't identify what they were, but they seemed to be able to like move in and out of technology.
mm-hmm.
And um, yeah, and then, but I don't know that I still have that same perception now. Like I can't see,
It's because
you
you
know.
went into like a different dimension of you were moving in and out of dimensions with your consciousness when you had that, right? Like even like my mom has dementia and she's like in other dimensions a lot. Like she sees things that I'm like, yeah, I know you saw that, but it didn't happen in the physical. Like I, you know, but yeah, so they can. You were definitely in multiple dimensions. Like a lot of people who are called like crazy or have these like mental disorders, they're actually hyper psychic at the same time that they're like whatever they're going through, be it caused by negative entities or heavy metals, whatever the root or trauma. Um, and so yeah, so they can definitely be attached to technology. Like the darkness definitely uses the internet, your TV, phone, computer, like programming that we get. Like they use those. Those can be portals for like negative energy to come in, right? And like if you're using your electronics with awareness and you're shielding, it's not going to affect you as much. But a lot of people are so unconscious. If you're like just constantly watching, say you have like CNN on your TV all the time, and you're just like plugged into that, what they're doing is they're using your consciousness. They're probably feeding like negative entities are probably coming through that programming. And then they're using your consciousness to actually manifest things that they want. Your consciousness is so powerful, they know that, so they have all these tricks. Right? And negative entities, I didn't say this, but they're here to feed off of your light. Okay, not only to stop you from like ascending out of these lower dimensions, but they don't produce their own light. Like if you're a light worker, you're like a conduit for God's energy. Like God's energy is moving through you. You have like light moving through you, and you can tap into more and more and more of that as you expand your energy field, expand your consciousness. Negative entities don't produce their own light. So they're looking to feed, just like a pathogen. So they're looking to feed off of somebody. And the more light you have, the more attractive you are. I used to always be like, why are they always after me? Like they've been after me since I was a kid. I know nobody my parents didn't teach me like about anything, about learning how to work with my energetic field. I was an empath, um, so yeah, so they were just coming at me. I had a lot of trauma, and so they were just coming at me. And there's a lot of people in this community that would be the same. There's a lot of really powerful souls in this community.
I can
Okay,
sense that.
you don't just connect to medical medium information just cause. You do because you've done the work to be able to connect with it. It's like lifetimes of work. And you're likely a light worker. There are dark people in this community, by the way, but you're likely a light worker, and you likely have something special about you. And within our community, there's like incredibly, and Anthony says this, and some of these people are my clients, incredibly ancient souls, incredibly powerful souls. And all the way from that to like souls that are kind of newer on this kind of bigger spiritual awakening that they're on, which to me, everything that Anthony teaches is spiritual awakening, right? It's opening our consciousness, opening our eyes to the truth. And that's a hugely transformative experience. That and then doing the protocols.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has been incredibly transformative for me,
Yes.
and it sounds like for you as well. And okay, before we get too late here, I want to make sure that people have an opportunity to hear about the particular things that you're offering in the auction, so that
Mm-hmm.
they have a good feel for what they might be bidding on.
Yeah, so it's the Angelic Soul Alignment Healing Session, which we've been talking about a lot through this interview.
Yes.
So that is, it's about like a 2 hour, maybe a little bit longer session. And in that session, we meet over Zoom and we set your intentions for the session. So you can bring in intentions about healing symptoms and healing soul level blockages, trying to get deeper understanding of like what's going on in your life. I've had people come in with like grief from like losing a loved one, trauma from somebody going through a divorce, like all kinds of things. And then we like the healing begins. And so the way that I work is I work with my higher self, source, the angels and archangels. And you're basically just relaxed during the session. There's a sound, like short sound healing in the beginning, and then I go in and I do pretty massive clearing on you. And depending on where you're at in your journey, what your intentions are going to affect kind of the nature of the session and what I see. But I'll clear all the way from your auric field through your chakras, and sometimes I need to go into different organs and heal different things. And the intention for this session is to not only release like the blockages that are preventing you from healing, but also to align you with your highest organic timeline here on earth, so your higher soul mission that you're here. So it's a very deep soul work. Like I can clear a massive amount of blockages in just that hour of clearing I do. And then you might get information about past lives. So past lives can come in and activate you. Like yesterday, the person's past life came in where she was this like beautiful Cherokee woman, and she came in and activated him, like remembering who he is. So more of his soul could come in to him, and he could hold more light. Um, and yeah, so it's an hour session, and then at the end of the session, I report back to you kind of what I cleared, and I have a whole team that comes in with me and does the healings with me. So I don't always see everything that's going on. And a lot of times, sometimes I'll meet your higher self, different aspects of you. Animal beings might come in, like to assist you and introduce themselves to you. Guides can come in. You might get messages from the other side, from loved ones. And that's my work. Like I do that, and then the healing, however it shows up for you, what shifts, like I never know. I can get a sense for some of it in the session, but people have reported, more psychic abilities, symptoms healing, emotional blocks releasing, their relationships in their life shifting, like better alignment with her work, more clarity on their journey. And sometimes, I'll give like soul advice. Like some people like really need to learn to do shadow work, you know? So that's something I might talk to somebody about. If somebody took the new medical treatment, I clear the energetic ramifications of that. Ancestral healing happens. So a lot of things can happen, and no two sessions are alike. These sessions are transformational. And these are for people who have been on medical medium protocols for a little bit of time. So they've been on their spiritual journey for a while and are ready for this deeper healing, or they've been on medical medium protocols for a bit of time where they're ready to go to the next level of work, right? Because it's incredibly expansive work, but it can also, like, if I raise your vibration, it brings up new things for you to work through. So that's when I recommend, okay, learn to do the shadow work. But anyways, that's the Angelic Soul Alignment Healing Sessions. They're like probably my most popular offering right now that I'm doing. And I learn a lot from each session. Like each soul that comes to me teaches a lot. And then I'm trying to teach back to the community what I'm learning. So it starts clicking for people. There's more to healing. There can be more. I can do more. Like I feel like I have something more to do here on earth. I don't know what it is. Like I need help to go to the next level. So yeah. Do you have any questions about that?
I um I mean, I probably have a million. That sounds really, and that's what you're offering, just that one for the auction.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. It's my most exciting offer. It's the one people like to do.
Okay.
Yeah. The shadow work sessions, like people have to be ready for that.
I
People
see.
aren't clamoring at my door for that. It's when people decide to do shadow work, they're ready to go like deeper into their healing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious
Yeah.
to know about that as well, actually.
Yeah, so I can talk about that. So those are really cool sessions. I love doing those sessions with my clients. Usually you want to do more than one session with me. And so I haven't talked about my shadow work journey very much. So I started doing my shadow work journey about 3.5 years ago. I started with inner child healing because I thought it was like inner child stuff I was dealing with. And I did that for a while until like my team told me to stop because it was not quite, it was getting a little bit dark for me because I was trying to learn how to like do shadow work in the most efficient way, and it wasn't exactly the most efficient way. So then I started doing somatic experiencing, which taught me a little bit more about working with my body. And then I just started overnight, like I went back to meditation. Like I had stopped meditating after I had that weird clairvoyant experience with the dark and the light. I was like, I don't want to see what's up there. This is a little weird. So then I just started meditating, and I went from like zero meditation to 2 to 3 hours of meditation a day. I was ready for it. And I just became very interested in what was going on in my energetic field in my body. And I realized, oh, this is how you do shadow work. This is how you clear. This is how you release symptoms. This is how you release blockages. And so I've been doing that for it's almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years, I think, in March that I've been working that intensely. And I started doing a lot of like hypnosis, past life regression. I also offer that. So anyways, from that, I realized, okay, I need to teach people how to do shadow work the way I'm doing it because it's way faster than all the other teachers were teaching me. And people in this community are pretty advanced in general. Like a lot of people come to me and they think I'm not very psychic, but people are seeing negative entities in their second shadow work session. Not everybody sees negative entities, but people really blow me away by what they can do. So in these sessions, I teach you how to work with angels, your higher self, and source. It's a lot like my angelic soul alignment healing sessions, but you're going through your body, you're going through your body consciousness, finding blockages in your body, and it could be where you're having pain, and learning to work with that blockage. And it becomes like, say I have like a blockage in my throat and I go into it, all of a sudden it can like become very multidimensional. That pain might be connected to a memory within me that could be from a past life. I've seen people go into past lives from this life, or it could be like a memory field that I've created for me. Like, so in that memory field, like I was working on, the person I was working on yesterday, I went into different memory fields. They were like almost like nightmares he was having. Like, so one of his, this could happen in a shadow work session. In this dream, he was in this home. It was very pristine. It was very clean. And the front door opened and all this water started coming in. Like it was flooding the house. Okay, so home is like your space, your safety, your sanctity, and all this water is coming in and it's like overwhelming him. So it was like a bad dream. And so I worked to resolve like the different parts of his consciousness that were creating that dream landscape, to resolve it. And so I worked with the water element and what it represented. I worked with him in the home experiencing that element. So I was working with the different parts of his consciousness, and people can learn to do this in the shadow work sessions. And then once that resolves, like that experience and that timeline just kind of alchemizes, right? It turns into light. So, and the more people do this, not only can they release symptoms in their body, but they can start manifesting a completely different life. Because your ability to manifest is connected to like this is kind of quantum, but like if I have all these lower timelines I haven't healed yet, it's going to affect the level I can manifest my life in. So if I heal these like lower timelines, be it this nightmare that I'm having, or a childhood trauma, or an ancestral entity that's attached to me, once I release that, I can move into a higher level of consciousness, more mastery with my energy field, and start manifesting not only better health in my body, better mental like peace, emotional peace, but I can also start creating a different kind of life for myself. Because now I'm working with more of who I am. Right? And ultimately that's the goal of shadow work, is not only to release these symptoms and blockages, learn how to traverse this like the sea of confusion, which is critical if you're going to become a psychic or energy healer, or just want to live on this planet. But you'll learn to start learning how to master energy so you can manifest things from a very grounded place. Like I'm not like one of those manifestation coaches that tries to sell you like a $5,000 pyramid scheme. Like this is really grounded within your own consciousness, within your own like body, within like you. Like I want people to learn about energy and really learn to master it within themselves. Like I can't necessarily change the person next to me that's not choosing to heal, but the more work I do, the more light that I hold, and the more that I'm changing this planet because I do that. And I want to like manifest like heaven on earth. Why not? Like, why not? If everybody on the planet wakes up and starts doing this work, things change. Look what happened with the hurricane when everybody was praying, working with that hurricane that was supposed to like destroy Florida. Well, that was a collective manifestation, right? Even this what you're doing is a manifestation from all the work that we're doing, right?
Yeah.
This wouldn't be happening if all of us hadn't been doing all this work. And like everybody has their own individual like part they're doing in this beautiful like awakening that we're going through. Everybody has a very specific soul mission or soul missions. And each one is so critically important to like the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's rather beautiful. Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that. And I'm here to do that work with you. So you know.
Yeah. It's so cool. Like 7 years ago, like there wasn't a whole like the community was so small. And like look what's happened. It's amazing. And we're taking care of our own, you know? Like
it's quite
who else is going to take care of us?
Yeah, like look at Heal, Live, Thrive. Look what look at Heal Live Thrive is doing. It's like we're actually looking out for the people that have lost their voice, and like literally nobody else is really looking out for them in their
Yeah,
life at all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm happy to put a shadow work session on like one of my offerings with you guys if people are interested. Um, it's just people have to be ready for that. People
Yeah,
always think like I can't do it, I can't do it, and then they come to the session and they're like, oh, I can do it. I'm like, yeah, you already knew. You were already a master and you didn't even know. Like like it's your God-given right to do this work. It's so it's just remembering. It's just kind of like finding Anthony's information. It's like you remembered the truth. Like he's giving it to us, but as you're reading it, you're like, oh, like this is true. This is true. So there's a remembrance within you of that information being true. Where did that come from? I don't know. It's because he's giving us the God-given truths, our divine right. And that's what we're remembering.
yeah.
Yeah.
Zarnaz, this has been a really fascinating interview, and
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to get a chance to maybe try out one of your sessions myself.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage everybody to check it out. Go to your website, visit your page, listen to the lives that you've been doing or the posts that you've been doing. I don't know if they're lives or not, but um, and certainly bid on this auction. It's going to be for a great cause, and who knows, there might be some really profound development in this stuff. Yeah, I'm just so excited for this, and I want to actually interview you for another hour, but I actually have another commitment here. So
Yeah,
I
for
just
sure.
thank you so much. Yeah, just thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your light and your gifts with us, and being brave and doing all the work that you do. Is there any last words you wanted to give before we call it a day?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for asking me to do this. I mean, I love talking about this stuff. It heals me to talk about it. And I'm so excited the community is ready to hear it. There's in the beginning people, and like I said, people thought I was weird, but now people are, there's been a shift in consciousness in our community, and people are hungry for this. So it's an honor to be able to do this work with all the people that are coming to me. Like there's so much soul growth within me and within my clients. And I just want to help get the truth out to people so they can take their healing to the next level. So thank you. Thank you for doing this auction. And thank you to everybody that's been commenting. I've been reading your comments. So yeah, thanks for all your support. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Seb. So yeah, yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, you've been getting a lot of love in the comments for sure. So yeah,
Yeah,
thanks
yeah.
everybody for supporting Zarnaz. And yeah, once again, uh, like this, share it, follow, and every interaction that you do is going to help support those people that are really in deep need right now, for which the auction is to benefit. And check out the page; it should be going live soon. Zarnaz's services will be up on our auction page soon, so you can get a service with Zarnaz, a session with Zarnaz, and I'm just super excited for that. Thanks again for coming on today, and thanks everybody, and peace, blessings, love, light, all the good things.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.